This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shivaprasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. On the eve of National, or I said International Human Rights Day, and the day after, we are going ahead with a solo interview and a unique interview with an esteemed, most revered guest from South India, and I feel I am blessed to have him on my show. He is none other than Dr. Justice K. Narayana Kurup. And I'm thankful to him for giving us a time wherein exclusively I am speaking to him on the basic human rights across India, across southern India, across Kerala, across Ernakulam. So let me have a brief introduction to my viewers of this esteemed guest, Dr. Justice K. Narayana Kurup-ji. He is a former judge, High Court of Kerala, and acting Chief Justice, High Court of Madras. He is from Ernakulam, Pullepadi. Educational qualifications: BSc Chemistry, BL and LLM in Constitutional Law, Public International Law and Private International Law. Honors and awards: Justice Kurup, author of several landmark public interest judgments which has been universally hailed, including the classic and path-breaking verdict banning smoking in public places, in the recipient of many honors and awards, regional, national and international, for his outstanding contributions in the field of tobacco control, public health, human rights, environment, etc. For details, you have his website also, justicekurup.org. You can visit the website, and what a better way to host him on such an important occasion. Not just human rights, it's the question of environment. Humans with environment, they go, and tobacco being a major scourge of human health. We have seen that basically, being a doctor by profession into journalism, we acknowledge his fight. And he has also addressed many WHO Global Convention, Amman, Anti-Tobacco Drive, Qatar. In Amman also, WHO Global Convention, he has addressed and he pioneered it. Anti-Tobacco Drive, Qatar. Ranbaxy Health Award also he received for his innumerable services in the name of health, environment and human rights. And he has received Dr. Mohan Kumar Award also. For the sake of awards and all, Justice Kurup received an award from Mr. A.K. Antony, Chief Minister of Kerala. It was in the name of Dr. Mohan Kumar, instituted by Indian Medical Association on 12th May 2002. And there are many honor he had been through, like Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer confers for the sake of honor award instituted by Rotary International, Anna Nagar, Madras, 21st November 2001. And then former Law Minister of India, Ram Jethmalani, confers on the jurist the Human Rights Health Award instituted by Human Rights Lawyers Forum and Human Rights Education Movement of India at a function held at Stella Maris College, Madras, on 10th December 2001. Similarly, Governor of Kerala, His Excellency R.L. Bhatia, confers on the jurist the Lifetime Achievement Award instituted by Chavara Culture Center, Cochin, on Friday 10th February 2006. Even recently also he has been associated with Chavara in spite of his corona and the age concerns. And then Justice Kurup receives honorary fellowship of the International Medical Sciences Academy in recognition of his outstanding contribution in the field of tobacco control at the convocation held at Manipal on 2nd April 2004. Justice Kurup is the second non-medical person to be conferred with the fellowship of the International Medical Sciences Academy, IMSA, the other being Dr. Godfrey N. Hounsfield, the inventor of CT scanner, who is also a Nobel laureate. Nothing like it, sir. Nothing like it. Feel very proud to host you. And also Justice Kurup being conferred with honorary degree of Doctor of Laws at the 14th convocation of Alagappa University, Madras on 7th April 2002 by the Governor of Tamil Nadu, who was also the Chancellor of the university then. Born in Parur, Kerala, India, as the eldest son of Kaladiparambil Ananthan Nayar and Mannapallil Kalyani Kuttilamma, Justice Kurup had his primary education there, followed by schooling in St. Thomas High School, Killam, and RHMS Vadavakode. He did his pre-university at the Nirmala College, Muvattuguda, and graduated in chemistry from the Sacred Heart School, Devara, 1961, and took his law degree from the Government Law College, Ernakulam, 1963, and post-graduation in Constitutional Law, Administrative Law, and International Law from University Law Center, Ernakulam. He started practice in 1964 under the late Parampalli Govinda Menon, former Chief Minister and Union Cabinet Minister, and later joined Menon and Pai, a leading lawyers firm in India. In recognition of his talents, he was appointed as senior counsel for the state and now counsel for the central government simultaneously in the High Court of Kerala. He also served as part-time professor of law in the Government Law College, Ernakulam. His elevation to the Kerala High Court bench in 1992 witnessed judicial activism and its pinnacle culminating in the landmark and historic verdict that he wrote for the division bench banning smoking in public places. He demitted office from the Madras High Court on 12th December 2001 after a stint there as acting Chief Justice. After retirement, the government of Kerala asked him to probe into Kumarakom boat accident, which he completed in record time of 7 months and submitted the report to the government touching all aspects of the mishap between 2007 and 2008. He was the chairman, National Wage Board for Print Media, New Delhi, and he has been the recipient of many awards. Justice Kurup needs no special introduction. He became internationally famous as a cult figure in the crusade against tobacco in the light of landmark judgment that he wrote for the division bench of the High Court of Kerala, banning smoking in public places. In short, the historic verdict produced by a global fallout, saving millions of innocent and unsuspecting passive smokers from the menace of the second-hand smoke. It vindicated the voice of the voiceless, namely the passive smokers, and paved the way for opening the doors of intervention worldwide in the crusade against tobacco. Public places such as hotels, restaurants, cinemas, auditoriums, public offices, stadiums, etc., to name a few, have been liberated from the various effects of lethal tobacco smoke. Being informed of the dangers of the lethal leaf, several thousands have kicked the habit of smoking. So I have already mentioned the honorary awards and honorary degrees conferred on him. Outside medical faculty, he is the only one. Second, and he is also pioneered the movement against tobacco. And here we have Justice Narayana Kurup-ji. Sir, welcome to this special show. Your blessing, sir. So how do you look at the present scenario, sir, in southern India and India as a whole?
Human rights, once you speak of human rights, people think it's only custodial torture and things like that. My conception of human rights is entirely different. The violation of human rights starts from the very conception of a child, right in utero, the uterus. The child is assaulted with various toxic things. Toxic drugs is the wife of the mother thing, the environment, the air, the water, and things like that. As a result, many children are born with disabilities, mentally retarded children, special children. Then once a child is born, where are the basic facilities? Drinking water, for example. Education, another example. Then once educated, employment, another example. Then right to clean environment is another. Right to live without hunger is another example. India has achieved independence decades ago. Can we say legitimately that that our people are living or enjoying the human rights? it may be a big no, because as I said, hundreds of thousands are born with infirmities or deformities. Millions are starving. There are people with appetite but no food. There are people with enough food but no appetite. That is the situation. Then education. Millions are uneducated. And unless you are educated, you don't get a right to do. And unless you have a job, you will starve. That is the thing. And blindness, that is another facet. Millions are blind in India. And health-wise, we are suffering now. We are paying through our nose. Only thing we notice is that those who have got the wherewithal, the money, they can afford the costly modalities of treatment. The medical science has made advancements, leap and bound. 1950, take example as a cut-off date. If a person has some ailment, maximum that can be done is a chest X-ray or ECG was not available. Now, look at the scenario now, human rights scenario. If a rich man suffers from a disease, he will be subjected to all sorts of treatments. Not X-ray and ECG, CT scan, MRI scan, other sophisticated tests, and to determine diagnose the actual condition, which may cost a few lakhs of rupees. Now, in this context, especially in the context of corona, people are finding it difficult to afford the medical costs involved. That's also a facet of human rights. Now, this is the other aspect of violation of human rights is the environment. Every human being has the right to pollution-free air and pure drinking water. My question is, are we getting it? No, we're not getting it. There is what is known as the intergenerational equity. That is, the present generation owes a duty to the successive generations to maintain the environment, the valuable resources of the earth. Instead, we are exploiting the resources of the earth, whether it is water, whether it is minerals, exploiting without any regard to their future generation. With the result, what we will be leaving to the future generation is nothing but parched earth. So we have to be safeguard against that. In one case, I had to observe years ago, a cement godown was established in a residential area. I started the order by saying, cement godown in a residential area, a square peg in a round hole. That's the thing. Environment, the dust, created by the cement. Asbestosis, it may lead to worse than the TB, asbestosis. So, dust of many political controversies, including the Cold War between superpowers, have settled, but not the dust of pollution, whether it be on the land, the air, or the sea, created by the environmental assault. It's another aspect, facet of our human rights. Now we discharge anything and everything into the sea and the backwaters and the oceans. The plastic, worse than the nuclear bomb, the plastic. With the result, what happens? Effluents that discharged in the sea, the temperature increases. The fishes, they migrate in millions, and they don't multiply. We are paying for the misuse of technology because we are now indulging in fish, technology using deep sea fishing trawls. With the result, all kinds of fishes, the young and the old, every fish is caught. With the result, they don't multiply. And to put it shortly, if the scenario continues, and it is likely to continue, my opinion is that by the year 2015, we will have nil catch from the sea. Already there are trends pointing towards that. We are assaulting the environment. What is the hazard from environment? Other hazard, the earth is covered by what is known as the ozone layer. Ultraviolet radiation from the ozone layer, from the outer space, the hours from the space, creates a hole in the ozone layer and reaches the earth and surges the temperature. Then other thing, we are using fossil fuel, the coal, for example, instead of natural renewable energy. The fossil fuels create what is known as greenhouse gases, methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide. These gases go up and trap the heat produced by the body. So there are two actions of surging the heat on the earth, planet, Mother Earth. The heat coming from outside, the heat generated by the earth is trapped by the greenhouse gases, methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide. With the result, global temperature increases. If this trend continues, our coastal cities in particular will be submerged in not a far off time. Now, that apart, floods and other extreme droughts will take place. All these things will have interfere with the people's right to live, the human rights. Now, which is high time that we have to learn to live with without assaulting the environment. If you go on assaulting the environment, you'll have to pay a heavy price in terms of human rights, right to live. The planet Earth will come to, it will face its own destruction. Now, usually people talk about the police atrocities as an important facet of human rights. That is also not a satisfactory situation in our country, because once a person is taken into custody, he is taken to the police station. The constitution says he has to produce your nearest magistrate within 24 hours. He is not produced. He is kept in the police station, subject to torture of all forms, conceivable forms of torture. At times, the detainee dies. Human rights problems open. One case I am now inquiring. So the government have appointed me as a commission of inquiry to inquire into the circumstances that led to the custodial death of one person by name Raju. There also he was taken into custody, kept in the police station for 3 complete days, 72 hours, instead of producing him before the magistrate for 24 hours. 72 hours, he was beaten to death. Now, this is not a violation of human rights, I'm asking. What is the solution to such practices? First of all, we have to educate the police force, members of the police force. These are the constitutional provisions. These are the provisions relating to human rights. You will have to observe. Unless that is done, human rights will be a paper tiger. That's what I am saying. There are so many cases, instances of violation of human rights with impunity has come to our notice, is take place in the country, regardless of the strong opinions expressed by the apex court in various decisions. The most important one being rendered in D.K. Basu's State of West Bengal. The then Chief Justice, Dr.Justice, and they have written a very strong claims against custodial torture. Custodial torture is a blatant violation of the human rights, right to dignity. The judge, the Chief Justice, in spite of all these, custodial torture continues unabated. So we have to, there are institutions throughout the country. The National Human Rights Commission is there, the other bodies are there. As the very name suggests, the function of the National Human Rights Commission is to put an end to violation of human rights. Whenever instances of violation of human rights take place, they issue notice, they call for report, they take action. But in spite of all these, there is still violation of human rights goes on unabated in a large scale. We hear of women being raped. It is said that the progress of a country depends upon the progress made by women. If that is the case, if woman is raped and her dead body is cremated without, in the absence of relatives, near ones, kith and kin, what's the explanation? Can there be anything better than that? These are all things we have to ponder on the Human Rights Day. And as I said in the beginning, do we get water? You are drinking water. We should be considered fortunate in this locality, and all, they are getting pure water. That too, we have got several rivers, and there are countries where there are no rivers. There are no rivers, and there is no shortage of water. Think of the Middle East countries; they don't have shortage of water because they have desalination process. Now, have you started desalination in any other city? No. One thing, let's leave it apart there. One thing I failed to stress, I forgot to stress is transportation. Transportation is a very important facet of human rights. What is the plight here? Unless you have got good roads and bridges, transportation is not possible. Here, you construct a bridge today, tomorrow it collapses. Then where is transportation? And in theory, now the constructed bridge is being demolished and another bridge has to be constructed. That's also again a charge on the public. Exchequer, public money is being wasted. The first bridge was constructed spending crores of rupees. Now that is demolished and another bridge has to be constructed. That's a violation of the human rights, as Supreme Court has observed in 1986 in a case of Himachal Pradesh, originating from Himachal Pradesh. The Supreme Court says that transportation is the lifeline of the people, so you have to protect it. That's why when a reparation came for me during my tenure as a judge of the Kerala High Court in 1996 to issue a direction to the government of Kerala to permit 200 private bus operators to fly their buses on city nationalized route. I issued a direction in spite of the fact that the route is nationalized. The law is, so long as the route is nationalized, others cannot come. I said to the advocate who was appearing in that case, you see, look at this is the position. You argue route is nationalized, private operators cannot come. I don't accept that. I would have accepted it had it been the position that the government buses are running properly. Here, the scenario is most of the buses are kept idle. Most of the buses have got problem, mechanical problem. The staff do not behave properly. So, with the result, the human rights to transportation is a set knot. That is a situation. Then what remedy the court can give is the another counter question posed to me. Then I said, in that case, I passed an order directing the editors of leading newspapers in Kerala to conduct a survey in Trivandrum city nationalized route regarding the performance of, to assess the performance of state-owned transport corporation and submit a report within 72 hours. The media did a wonderful thing. They interviewed thousands of people, the school-going people, the college people, those who go to the hospital, like market and things like that. Thousands of people they interviewed, and they submitted a report before me in 72 hours. That report was eye-opener. What is the report? That report said 95% of the population interviewed are in favor of the private operators coming. So based on that media report, I issued a direction to the government of Kerala to issue permits to 96. So the very same buses that are now flying. You have to look a wider human rights in a wider canvas and wider perspective. Then only you can do such things. Otherwise, technicality, if we are technical, sitting as a judge, once a petition comes in that this is seeking a direction to issue a permit to private operators in a city nationalized route, you can be technical also. You can say this is a national route, petition closed, one sentence. That shall not be there. The people should be, we should be, as judges, we should be innovative, and we should be more accommodative to the responsive to the needs of the people. A Lord Temple man in the House of Lords, having come to know about this, wrote to me a letter with me for successful intervention That's what he wrote. Your successful intervention in transportation system shows how beneficial judicial action can be. So this is a facet of human rights, transportation. You look at the scenario. 1967, I was in Delhi. There was a Rajdhani Express running between Delhi and Calcutta. At that time, it was 12 hours. That is, average speed is 140 kilometers, something like that. Now, several years, half a century, look at the situation in many parts of the country, including Kerala. The average speed is, even now, it is 40 kilometers, maximum 50. How can we call these trains expresses? These are not expresses. Where's situation? We are not improved. We should have better coaches, better lines, better signaling systems. All these things we should improve. Unless our people have a sense of dedication, these things will not improve. This is improve. This is regarding transportation. Regarding custodial torture, I have highlighted. Regarding water, environment, fresh air, I have highlighted. And other aspect of human rights is treatment, once again. You see, we claim that TB has been eradicated. In effect, it has not been eradicated. Nearly a million, more than half a million people died in India because of tuberculosis. And there are instances of drug-resistant tuberculosis. We have to treat that. And people are, in many cases, are not in a position to take the treatment because of the paucity of funds that has to be addressed. One more aspect I would like to highlight is that I had the good fortune to write the verdict banning smoking in public places in the 1999. That judgment served, that has been later affirmed, confirmed, or ratified by the Honorable Supreme Court. That judgment served as an eye opener and revolutionary trendsetter, not only for India but for the world. That the one sentence you need to put it, the basis of judgment is, it's not medicine, nothing. The basis of the judgment, banning smoking in public places, is human rights to health. We'll have to put everything on a legal side. It's a human rights to health because public smoking only be a bad. If a man, the smoker smokes in a public place, there are other persons surrounding him. The smoke inhaled by him is exhaled. The exhaled smoke is being smoked by other persons. Massive smoke. And they are subject to equally, if not more risk than the smoker himself. That's the theory. That's that health is affected. Their health is affected. So, imbibing the spirit of the verdict, Parliament of India has passed a comprehensive law against public smoking in the year 2001, followed by a Committee of Nations. Now, 181 nations have followed that. And that is the scenario on human rights. And in the context of corona, the smoking has also, the importance of not smoking in public has also gained momentum, because the infected person smokes means, and the exhaled smoke is inhaled by others. That will pose a definite health hazard, especially in the context of corona. Anything more you ask?
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. It is just an eye opener from health to environment. White canvas. Wonderful. You got transport, how human rights are being violated, because it is common man. It is the common man's basic movement is nothing but transport. If you scuttle that, if you don't have that in place, the common man earnings will go RE. Not only earnings, health, school, education, health, is earnings, everything will go RE. So just can, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, last one, sir. Last one before we say bye to you and for your honorable and very knowledgeable insight into human rights, covering all aspects of human lives. Sir, can you just put the camera a bit so that I can have SAR's large, yeah, a bit closer so that his voice can also be very clearly heard. A bit closer. Yeah, it's okay. Voice can be clearly heard. Yes, sir. Now, how do you rate the courts in connection with custodial deaths or the orders to be passed in various human violations, right from Corona? Common man could not afford, as you rightly pointed out, only the wealthy can afford costly treatment. Is it not violation, human violation, or constitutional guaranteed rights violation? Health, whether it is health, right to liberty in the form of custodial deaths or police pickups, health, and then education. Don't you think there should be a parity? There should be equality in education, quality education to one and all. And above all, as you rightly pointed out, transport. How can it be only a wealthier man's transport? And out of all, if all these rights are addressed in a proper way, a government should be welfare in its activity. And also it should be able to provide the employment. And last but not the least, even our farmers, they are agitating in Delhi. Now we have seen, because of farmers' produce, we have gone through the corona. We have seen developed countries standing in queue for basic commodities got infected. At least now we had reserves, high reserves. How farmers are still not able to get the value for their produce and take care of their family in spite of giving their best. We have seen corona as an example.
Okay. Ile.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the question?
The question was rights, constitutional guaranteed human rights, whether it is in the case of education, right to liberty in the form of custodial deaths, transport, employment, even farmers, their produce, they are producing. We have seen corona, we could overcome because of nutritious diet. But still, how is that in spite of our independence and constitution, various sections of the society are still not able to enjoy their rights on inequality? And the role of judiciary in safeguarding them, and even in compliance also, judicial orders are passed but there is no compliance. Do you think this is the weak link that is upsetting our constitutional guaranteed rights and human rights?
You cannot make a sweeping observation that orders passed by the courts are not being followed. There are the other day Kerala High Court passed an order now directing the authorities to put one faction of a religious faction in possession of the disputed property. That is not being complied with. Now, court has now passed an order. Yesterday, I read in the newspapers directing the DIG CRPF to do the job. So everything, there should be a motivation. Passing of the order is only one facet. Implementation is equally important facet. If the order is not implemented, it has no value. You have to see, judges have to see that the orders passed by them are implemented in letter and spirit. In letter and spirit. Look at the tobacco order. The order passed by the division bench in the High Court. I wrote the judgment. Banning smoking in public places. Initially, there was reluctance on the part of the police to book cases. Then that was brought to our notice. We issued an order to the Director General of Police at that time. Book everybody found smoking in public. Not only that, I had to file a report before the court on the first week of every month, stating the number of cases booked, court-wise and station-wise. There is quick response, immediate response. Every month we get a picture. How many cases were booked? And personally speaking, when I go out for some journey, if I find people smoking somewhere, the first thing I did was immediately after coming back, issue a notice. There was a standard notice issued to the registry. Issue a notice to Director General of Police to deputy officer not below the rank of DIG to this court on stipulated date and explain why action for contempt shall not be taken against him for violation of the court order. That should be the approach. Simply passing the order will not help. And our courts mostly enforce the order. Our high courts, our constitutional courts, and our Supreme Court, not only they pass the order, they see that the orders are complied with in letter and spirit. There are, or there may be situations the court will find it difficult or some technical difficulty coming in, which may prompt the court, which the court will find it difficult to enforce. That is very rare. But in majority, vast majority of the cases, or in all cases, orders of the court have been observed and complied with the letter and spirit.
But we have seen there are many cases like pollution in Hyderabad and in elsewhere, even in Kerala we see. In Tamil Nadu also we see such type of pollution, and custodial deaths cases have been on rise regularly. Not only that, education, it's not at all on parity. Now post-corona, middle class people are not in a position to pay lakhs of rupees to get their wards children into medical education. Many such type of things. Even farmers, we have been watching them committing suicides for want of the minimum support price or correct price for their yield. And not only that, the farm produce, they are not getting benefited. Even consumers, we have seen the pulses rates, what were there 4 months back, why they have risen now. All such things are, don't you think it's a human right violation? Because constitution guarantees equi-justice. When that is being not offered, only a cross section of them are getting benefited or enjoying them. Don't you think courts also should be more active role? Definitely they are playing, and thanks to them, much judicial activism has really come to the rescue of a commoner. But don't you think even those rarest of the rare also should be complied with, so that people will have confidence? All those extraneous authorities will not do anything inhuman or which is against human rights.
Personal. As far as the farmers is concerned, farmers are the backbone of our country, economy of the country. So they shall not be allowed to suffer. As far as my knowledge goes, the present controversy relates to the apprehension of farmers regarding MSP, minimum support price, and the public procurement. That's a matter that cannot be settled on the streets. I repeat, that is not a matter to be settled on the streets, coercing the government. That's a matter to be debated and discussed. If possible, the matter to be taken to the court. The validity of the 3 laws passed by the Parliament will be tested before the court. That is the constitutional method, not this method putting the government to ransom. With all my sympathies to the farmers, I said, beginning, farmers, backbone of the country. And I have every confidence that the cell government will no stone unturned in saying that the grievance of the farmers will be addressed, or apprehension of the farmers will be addressed on the questions of minimum support price and public procurement. That's all I can say about that. The courts are here, constitutional courts are here, Supreme Court is there. So all these constitutional means can be adopted. But the holding the government to ransom and encircling the national capital region, I got my own reservations.
Yes.
Then, one thing you have to remember, judicial activism is not a panacea. That's not a universal cure for everything. The court has got its own limits, beyond which it cannot go. I said at the beginning, people are suffering. Many people are not educated. they are finding difficulty in going to schools, and there is starvation. And can the court order the government, you provide everybody with 3 square meals a day? That may not be possible. Years ago, I remember a judge had ordered, provide this much of quantity of cereals to other people. But these things are not practical. But even then, the Supreme Court was Supreme Court came to protect the environment in Delhi. Otherwise, how do you explain the green petrol now? Without the Supreme Court order now, the Delhi would have been suffocated. Suffocated. The court said, insisted stringent control on the use of diesel, the fossil fuel. Now we have got, because of the Supreme Court order, the environment is protected. Now another question comes up, the stubble burning. There also, I think the court has interfered. As in fact, the court has interfered regarding stubble burning. The court has also interfered during the Diwali. No more fireworks. These are all things by which the court can interfere, and you cannot say find fault to the government. No. First of all, you must realize it is not a universal cure or panacea. And whenever a case is presented which is judicially manageable, the court will do its job.
Wonderful. Judicially manageable, because now we look you beyond a jurist, because we look you as a human to the core. So my question to the human to the core, until and unless courts involve, governments are not acting in favor of public. Now this is the modern etiology which a common man comes across in India. Until and unless court involves, government is not coming to the rescue of a commoner. They are framing laws, they are bringing laws, or they are making policies in such a way that people protest. But until and unless you go to the court and get an order, government is not going back or not even discussing on that. How do you look at this scenario?
Now you have come to a point where both parties are standing on geometrically opposite points, North Pole and South Pole. The farmers say our livelihood is in danger. No minimum support price, no public procurement. Government is abdicated everything to the big people. That's the apprehension of the farmers. Government say no, we'll protect your MSP, minimum support price. We'll protect everything. That should be the answer of the government, attitude of the government, because without farmers, no grains, no staple diet, no wheat, no rice, nothing. So I have no doubt that in such a scenario, the government of India will not rise to the position expected of them and come forward with a viable solution. I am very confident that the government will come forward with a viable solution to the present crisis, facing not only the farmers of North India, Punjab and Haryana, crisis the nation, crisis facing the nation. And there are great people there, they can think about the crisis instead of leaving it to everything to the judiciary. Let the government think about it and come forward with a viable solution that will protect the interests of the farmers.
Wonderful, sir.
Which,
Before
again, the backbone of the
country. Wonderful. Without food, we cannot serve. So last one, before I say bye to you, can courts become more active in taking cases concerning human rights, whether it is elections, a constitutional must, judicial custody, education, health, and then transport in that order? Because the media, every party has got its own media. Common man is unable to air his views and get to the notice of government. Even if government notices, they are not in a position to act for various and varied reasons. Don't you think courts also should become more active in accepting such cases as suo motu and should come to the rescue of a commoner?
As I said just now, the courts are set to intervene only in cases which can be judicially managed. Can the court say, Corona, patients are being fleeced? One bed means per day, so many thousand rupees. We know there is no drug for Corona. Corona is a viral infection of the virus. And our immune system is destroyed. There is what is known as a cytokine storm, because the very moment Corona enters the body, the immune system fights the invading Corona. At that stage, everything is all right. And the difficulty arises once the fight exceeds the limit, because the human immune system takes the fight to a very great level. Then what is known as the cytokine storm takes place. Inflammation comes in. Pulmonary inflammation takes place, inflammation of the lungs. That is spread down to the inflammation of the heart. It may go to the brain. Every other organ will be affected. Oxygen supply will be compromised and the patient ultimately dies. So what is the treatment? People say this drug and that drug. Next day there will be a denial. Next day there will be a denial. WHO or some other agency. The drug of choice is now given to serious patients is or steroids and dexamethasone steroid and oxygen. These are the only two drugs that are given, no other drug. With this, how can the patients be fleeced per bed, so many thousands of rupees and for oxygen and this thing. And a friend of mine told me that he was having some fever and he was tested positive and he was in the hospital. After a few days, he was slammed with the bill or 2.5 lakhs. Can people afford? Is this not a violation of human rights? But what can the court do? That's the thing. Is it something which is judicially manageable? I am asking a question to the people who are audience. If court, abrogate his player, court is a umpire. Umpire has his own role. And in many cases, I have abrogated the role as an umpire and entered the play field as a salutary player to protect human rights. But that may not be practical. For example, transportation through Anthem. I can always get a report by the media and issue a direction, permit 200 bus operators to fly their bus. Tobacco, public smoke. These are all judicially manageable. But in such a huge scenario like the Corona, can the court order the government to provide treatments to everybody? That requires the cooperation of the people, requires medicine, everything. But that is not a judicially manageable thing. The court will find it difficult to follow the order. So, likewise, you mentioned other factors also, Mr. Reddy. Such matters which are not judicially manageable, it is better the court keeps its hands off and leave it to the good sense and wisdom of the government. The pharmacy issue, again I repeat, the government is not lacking in resources, intellectual resources. They have got excellent advisors. They can think it over. I repeat, the farmers are the backbone of the country. Without the farmers, the country cannot exist. Their grievances will be addressed by the government.
We want them to be addressed, but at the same time, don't you think a government is a welfare activity? It should, if it is development, it should be pro people and in the larger public interest only. They cannot do away with against the public opinion. Am I right, sir? Even health, as you mentioned, Corona, prevention is better than cure. They went on giving the figures, everything is under control. If suddenly it shoots up, now here in Kerala, Panchayat elections, 8th, 9th, 10th, likewise in other states, in Telangana, why did they held panchayat elections during the corona second phase. Now courts also, do you think, should be just laying their hands off, stating that we cannot do anything, judicially not manageable, but it's a constitutional right, right to life, right to liberty. Then why should we have a government in place spending so much of public tax money if they are not in the welfare interest?
I don't blame the Kerala government. They have done their best. To begin with, the government of Kerala's activities attracted international acclaim. International acclaim. The health minister and the chief minister and their team did a wonderful work. Our case fatality rate was low. Total positivity rate was low. Everything was low. Now everything has an upside, up and down. Corona has also an up and down. In between, some festivals come. Now yesterday and today, the local government election. After this, the corona will make a surge, spike in cases, positivity rate. So we have to take. We cannot, in such situations, government, it has got some limitation of resources. Where is the money for all these things? At the same time, government is doing, and government has done. We cannot blame the government here. I don't think.
Not the question of just,
they have done everything.
sir, not the just case of just Kerala government.
And the chief minister and the health minister, they have received the acclaim of the international community. This is not a small thing.
No, not the question of not just
the state.
Not the just case of Kerala government. Kerala government has been doing well, but now in spite of that, these panchayat elections will come, and there is a dictum in temples: don't do utsavams. But we have seen in Pala here, there is a big Jubilee festival going on, no norms being practiced. How can you discriminate? How can you allow discrimination in the name of elections, panchayat elections? Can this hold good? Can Corona be
what is the discrimination?
Discrimination in Palai, there was a big Jubilee festival which held. People were on the roads, but the same thing is not being allowed in the temples to conduct Utsav. Temple yearly.
Mr. Reddy, that question I have not studied. That is for the first time I am hearing it from you. I have not studied that.
The other aspect, okay, KSEB, Kerala State Electricity Board, we have been complaining regularly. Fluctuations, when power will be there, when power will go. We say like Suresh Gopi, davannu depoi, and fluctuations. That also we have been complaining regularly. I have brought it to the notice of Kerala High Court. I've been writing to him also. Then I am doing a show. Then these are all. Don't you think the government should be in the welfare interest only? Government should be in the welfare of the people. Is the government a welfare activity, or it should be a pro corporate lobby? This is the last one, sir, before we say bye.
Question ഏതാണ് ചോദിച്ചത്?
pro corporate ആയിരിക്കണം.
ഏതാണ്?
Pro people ആയിരിക്കണം, pro corporate ആയിരിക്കണം.
We cannot say like that. We have to judge cases based on the merits of a particular case. The court or government cannot make a policy that pro government, the pro people, pro corporate. No, it should be in the larger interest of the people that the government should guide its actions. That is the thing. I don't find anything wrong here.
Wonderful, sir. That as long as governments are in larger public interest, we will welcome them, as Kerala has done in the initial stages of Corona. We have to appreciate, and that is how people also should cooperate with the governments. But governments, whether it is central or state governments, if they come to a decision regarding a policy, they should involve people, the people who are in stake. Otherwise, people will have a right to protest. I feel that is a constitutional guaranteed right. And when they are protesting, if it is judicially manageable, I think courts also should appreciate and come to the rescue of people. And even judicial activism should be in the form of suo moto, wherein people are not in a position to express. Even if they express, nothing is carried in the media, because the media has become captive as has been, I'm getting SMSs also stating that every political party runs a media, every businessman attached to a political party runs a media. So the information becomes captive. At such times, they are all requesting courts should to become active and also accept cases suo motu. Thank you very much, sir. Take care. God bless you with good health. Bless us, sir.
Thank you.
Your blessings.
Thank you.
I'm saying bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Ranganathan. God bless
Thank
you
you.
all.
Okay. Thank
You
you.
can
Bless
discuss.
you all, Dr. Vinod Sethi, everyone. My
Okay.
guru, Professor Purushottam Reddy, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you once for all. Right.
അതെ, സാറിന്റെ ഈ സാറിന്റെ ടെലിഫോൺ നമ്പർ